Shit.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Black Eel podcast. And this is our first episode in June. And June is going to be a huge month for us. Today is not as jam packed as it's going to be for the next episode, but it's pretty jam packed. So, for this episode, we're going to be first talking about season 3 of Rebels. Then we'll be moving on to Mike talking about 3 different Flash universes to get us prepared for the Flash movie that's coming out in July 17th.
Next weekend.
Yeah, July 17th. Or July 16th.
June.
Oh, June 6th. Sorry. My apologies. So, we'll be talking about 3 different universes there, and then we will move on to what I think is going to be the most important and the lengthiest part of this entire episode, which is going to be Across the Spider-Verse. Yes, we both watched it. Yes, we both barely talked about it together, so we'll have a lot to discuss here today. Then, as always, we will end the same way we always do with a character spotlight from each of us. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about Rebels Season 3. All right, I'm going to just say this right now. Best season so far.
Oh,
I don't
absolutely.
remember Season 4 so much. Like, I know what's going to happen, but Season 3, right now, hands down, best season.
Oh, 100%. It just skyrocketed each character, gave so much more perspective of each of them. It just was so good.
And I just keep forgetting how great Thrawn is. I mean, like him being like an intellectual guy and a military strategist and all that is great and all, and we've kind of seen that, and that's hunkadory and all that stuff. But like seeing him physically attack people,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh. Oh, I mean, I'm going to be jumping around in this, and I think what we should do is talk about each individual character. Let's talk about Thrawn first, okay?
Man of the
As
hour.
much as I want to go through the whole story, I'd rather go individual characters because I feel like it's better that way.
Okay.
So Thrawn was like this military um, powerhouse in the beginning, right? Like when he came in, everyone was like him, right? Like it's Grand Admiral Thrawn, and he didn't disappoint because he literally got in the minds of his opponents and tore them apart. Like realistically, he should not have lost in that final fight.
No.
Like he legitimately should have won that hands down. And the only reason why he lost was because there was a factor he was not prepared for, and either was the rebels, which was Bendu.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, it was by far, I mean, just so good. He doesn't just break them, he breaks their spirit. Like, that's his goal. And it's just, beautiful.
No. He is so good at just the tactics and all that. All that stuff. He just his people just have and him in particular, but his people have just such an advanced tactics for warfare and just being able to read people. Um, I mean, just him in general with as we see through the season, just with the art and being able to use art to study his opponents, and
Well, it's not just the art, it's the culture of the people. That's really what it comes down.
well,
I know,
he uses the art to learn the culture.
I mean, that's fair. I will agree to that. Yeah, he just studies his victims so well
Mm-hmm.
and then takes them out. And and like I said, his plan 9 times out of 10 would have worked.
Oh yeah.
Um, I mean, hands down, like he does not play games whatsoever. He had a plan upon a plan upon a plan, and even with Bendu nearly destroying everything, he was still able to stop Bendu.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, granted, technically he couldn't kill him. I'm putting that in quotes because I'm not quite sure about that. But um, like Bendu being that powerful force bender, or force user, I should say. Sorry, I'm thinking of that.
Sorry.
But no, he's just, I mean, they're so powerful. We get to see how powerful he is, but also how unscared Thrawn was by the storm. You know what I'm saying? The storm that Bendu created, He's like attack the center of the storm. And it wasn't until we see Bendu in his more, I guess, I don't know, animal form, his more physical form, I guess you would say. I don't know how to
Yeah, I
describe it.
guess his
But you
his
know,
avatar.
yes, he actually is the only one to make Thrawn nervous.
Yeah, so far.
And it was just his words. And it was just his words. And I think that made it more powerful to me on like even this incredible villain has his own insecurities.
Well, the thing with Thrawn is that he doesn't lose, and he knows he doesn't lose. So the fact that this all powerful being just told him he's going to lose, that's a massive shock to him. Like he once we're finished with Rebels and you start you start reading the Thrawn books, you'll learn more because I'm just seeing all this now. Like I said, our perspectives are very different. Like I'm seeing this after the knowledge that I've gained from reading those books, and I'm seeing like all this. Just it makes so much more sense now. Like it's just it's incredible how much more perspective I've gained from this. But like I said, like he doesn't lose, so he's
Hmm.
being told that he's going to lose. Like he's shook. There's no two ways about it. Like he's terrified, and he doesn't. The thing, like the other thing too, is he he thrives on knowledge. So the fact that he doesn't know what's going to happen is going to eat at him.
No, I get that. No, I do get that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, even with that, he didn't really have that much of a character build, honestly. But I don't think we needed that for him because we just saw him at his best, in my personal
Mm-hmm.
opinion. This season was by far all of Thrawn, and like even the fact of like using Agent Cassius, is that how you say his name?
Callous.
Callus, Agent Callus, and knowing that he was a spy and was like, you know what, he's worth more as a spy than he would ever have been as a an Imperial agent, and I'm like, wow. And I think the fact that he just knew what needed to be done every single time, and I'm just impressed. Honestly, in my opinion, the best Star Wars villain of all time.
one,
Um,
one or one up there. Definitely, definitely,
yeah.
definitely. Minimum top five.
Oh, hands down, hands down. I agree
I
with you,
mean,
hands down.
it's tough. I mean, obviously, once we see more of him with Kamasoka and possibly even more,
I hope
his
they don't kill him. That's really what I really hope.
I have. I mean, we'll have to see.
No. But out of all the people, like he's just so
No,
awesome.
no,
Like, don't kill
it's
him.
tough. It's tough. It's tough to compare it just because obviously you have Vader and Palpatine, so like they're the top dogs for villains of Star Wars. But Thrawn, as you could possibly get more out of him, and you could see so much more.
I think for me, I think for me, the reason why I think Thrawn is such a better villain than both Palpatine and Vader, and this is going to bring a lot of hate towards me, and I don't care, but I think it's because of the fact he is not a Force user and yet is at the same level of villainy as them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, now granted, he can't do a lot on his own necessarily, but like at the same time, he
Oh
can.
yeah.
Like it's so weird to think about, but like yeah, I think for me, what I actually liked about Thrawn the most this season was seeing him physical,
Hmm.
meaning like actually hand to hand combat, and like seeing that he is not perfect, meaning he does take a punch. You know what I'm saying? But like didn't like still took them out. Like he took out the robots. He took out the training sentries, I believe, are what they called.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And then he took out Agent Callus. I mean, physicality alone, just incredible. Not a big fan of his helmet when he goes out on the onto the land, to be a ground trooper. But that's like my biggest, like that's my biggest weakness for him, and that's not even really a weakness.
No, it's just a complaint.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to speaking of villains. Let's talk about the next villain on our list, and that is Darth Maul.
Oh, oh.
Darth Maul, this season for him, so I liked him better in season 2 than in season 3 because this is just the defeat of Maul, literally and figuratively. He is a broken man. At this point, he is just nothing. He is literally like praying to find Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan must be the one to take them all out. Um,
Obi-Wan, the thing with Maul and Obi-Wan, and it's always been this way. Maul is obsessed with Obi-Wan. To him, Obi-Wan is the one that took everything from him. So his entire existence is off of revenge to get to defeat Obi-Wan.
he he took out half of him.
Shut up.
I just want to make that clear. He only took out half of him.
um,
I hate me too, but I'm okay with it.
Obi-Wan, he doesn't believe Obi-Wan can save everybody. He doesn't believe that. It's just pure revenge, pure, just plain and simple, pure revenge for himself. And he is so obsessed with Obi-Wan, and that's what's powering his dark side is his will to defeat Obi-Wan.
But I think that's what makes it so different in this season than anything else, is the fact that it's not about that. In my opinion, it's not about the revenge of Obi-Wan. It's the fact that he is looking for the answer to remove the Sith. Specifically, the reason why he wants to remove the Sith has to do with the fact that he wants to get rid of his old master, Lord Sidious. Oh, Darth Sidious, sorry.
Well,
See, how I took it differently than you. I'm taking it as the fact that I'm taking it as the fact that he wants to eliminate the Sith, figure out how to eliminate the Sith, right? In a way that it makes him be the one and only, where it's then him and his apprentice, which is Ezra, in his mind. You know what I'm saying?
well, yeah. I mean, as a dark side user, he wants power. That's no question. But the thing is that I think the thing that you're missing on it is the fact that they were saying that he doesn't really care about taking out the Sith. He doesn't really care about that. It's because he was using that because he knew that that's what Ezra wanted. He was using that to get to Obi-Wan because he knew that by combining the two of them to get to the holocron, he was manipulating Ezra.
No, that I did know. I know he was manipulating Ezra, but my whole thing was just the fact of like, okay, so when we finally see them together, right? We finally get the moment where it's Obi-Wan and Darth Maul together
Mm-hmm.
again, right? The battle that was supposed to be the battle of the centuries was literally 2 minutes in the microwave, and it was
I
horrendous
hate
in
you
that sense.
so much. So much. I
Um,
knew you were gonna try to find a way to stick that in this, and I was not prepared for it to be
Sometimes you just
before
got to put it in the
15
microwave
minutes.
and see what happens. So anyway, the point I am making here is when Maul finally gets there, right, and he finally has that moment with Obi-Wan, and we finally see it together. I don't see the rage as much. I don't think it's there anymore. I think he finally realizes, like, he wanted to mess with Obi-Wan, obviously. I mean, talking about how he wants to say, protect somebody, all that stuff, right? But I think somewhere in his mind, he had a thought in his head that there was still the idea, because he had the knowledge of what Ezra was looking for, which was the hope to stop the Sith, right?
Possibly,
Which have
we don't actually know.
All right, fair
So,
enough,
so,
but you get
so
my
the
point,
thing
I think.
is that what Ezra saw, like I said,
Might have been the same thing he saw.
Maul was manipulating him, saying, oh, you have half my knowledge, I have half of your knowledge, and we need to combine our knowledge to find the answer. Maul, like I said, just wanted Obi-Wan.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not gonna argue with you, mostly due to the fact of like It makes sense. I gave Maul way more credit than he deserved.
Well, like I
I
mean, you might not be wrong. I mean, he definitely did not.
It just wasn't obvious. I think it wasn't clear. I think that's the big thing.
Well, I mean, like you said, he didn't seem like he had as much rage, but at the same time,
I mean, he definitely did want to take out Obi-Wan.
he
I
did
will admit
have
that.
rage. I think it was just more he was trying to control his rage to be able to try to defeat Obi-Wan. But that was the whole point of the whole point of that segment was to show how much Obi-Wan has evolved from the prequel trilogy to
And after
how
his
much
and
Maul had
after his
not.
show,
Huh?
because this is the big thing too, is the fact that now I know this was added after the fact, but I mean when we have Obi-Wan Kenobi, we now see this is him after that.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually see him at his, I guess you would say, most powerful. And this is where it gets tough to say what is considered powerful in this universe because it's very unclear. At the very least, he is almost at one with the Force completely, if not 100%. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I would say 90%. Maybe it takes him the next couple of years to get him to 100%, but I mean, he's pretty damn
Mm-hmm.
close. Um, and Maul just gets taken out. There was only I will say this, the battle was longer than I remembered the first time I watched it, but it was still short. It was four swings.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it was. I mean, it was never meant to be a long battle. It was meant. It
No,
was
I
meant to
agree with you.
showcase how, just how much Maul's rage blinded him that he couldn't see that he would lose. Obi-Wan had
Yeah.
become so powerful, and not in the sense of brute force. He became so powerful with the Force. He became so peaceful. He found his inner peace that he could just use the Force and focus. And I mean, he was saying it: "Let the past go. You have to move on. There's no other way. This is only going to lead to your destruction." And Maul's rage just blinded him so much. His revenge blinded him so much that it, literally, like you said, whatever, four strokes and he died. And it was on
Yeah, and
his
then he
death.
just
It was
sliced.
at his death that he finally found peace.
Yeah, and asking if the one he was protecting was the chosen
Mm-hmm.
one, and Obi-Wan thought so.
Mm-hmm. Yep. To bring to
Yeah,
bring to
I
bring peace to the universe.
yeah, I like Maul. I really do. They did him justice in Clone Wars and season 2 of Rebels, in my personal opinion. Season 3, I get it. It wasn't meant to be about him. I do get that. It was more to show Obi-Wan and like where he
Mm-hmm.
is and where the start of the whole thing was going. Um, yeah, no. Overall, this was not Maul's crowning achievement. He did, he
Oh yeah,
did,
it was meant to close the story, and I mean,
and it
in
did.
in
No,
my
it
opinion, it did.
finally did too. No, I agree with you. It 100% did. I feel like it was well done in the sense of like Maul was given a story that was not even planned, and he's done so much in a short amount of time that we didn't even know about. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? From episode 1 on to the Rebel season 3. I mean, he literally was around that entire time causing chaos in the universe. Granted, some of the time he was, in a hole, but I mean,
Trapped.
most of the time, yeah, that still messes with me to this day. But anyway, but overall, it was just an interesting thing overall. Kanan, let's move on to Kanan.
he became
He was blind and then he could see.
he became much more powerful, finding himself,
Yes,
finding inner
no,
peace, being able to
accept
accept.
everything.
Yeah, and
That's the big thing that I learned with him was the fact he just accepted things as they are. Like he will do his best to try to stop things from happening, but overall, he was going to be okay with whatever happened. Obviously, he didn't want people to die, but I think realistically, he was like, if it happens, it happens, which I think is what made him so much more
mm-hmm.
powerful.
Yeah. no, he was able to definitely. I don't know about the whole if people died, it is what it is. Especially towards the then the final episode where he's
I don't think he was afraid of it anymore. There's a difference between not liking it and not being afraid
oh,
of it.
okay.
I don't. I think, and I may have misspoke on that one, but I feel like he wasn't afraid of it anymore. Not that he wanted it to happen, not that he would be okay with it, but I think he wasn't afraid of it anymore because he knew what they were getting themselves into. That he knew it was a
Mm-hmm.
possibility.
All right, yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
Yeah. Ezra Bridger.
such a
Uh,
kid.
went from you using the dark side to now using the light. Um,
A great mentor apparently when it comes to lightsabers for Sabine.
yeah, I think that was the cool thing. But I also think the other thing about that too is the fact that he's not actually trained in any form at all. Like legitimately not trained in any specific
Hmm.
form. So therefore, he's got like a combination of everything combined. Um, and that makes him, in my opinion, actually one of the better lightsaber users.
If he can learn how to, really learn how to use the lightsaber, that would definitely make him much more powerful. Um,
And he's just been sitting in space for the past 40 years, so like he's got to be good now.
oh yeah, hopefully.
Um,
Um,
but no, I mean like that's one of the big things too is like everyone talks about the different forms. Like, Anakin had this form, Obi-Wan had this one, Mace Windu had this,
mm,
you know what I'm saying? But like Ezra, because he didn't have any formal training, he just had Kanan, he actually had the ability to basically learn on the fly, which I think makes him potentially, obviously not right now, but potentially the best lightsaber user of all time.
well, I mean,
And I'm talking about just lightsaber users. I'm not talking about force
no,
abilities
I'm
or
not.
anything
I'm
like that.
not
I'm talking
questioning. I'm not
straight up.
questioning that. I mean, you just have to realize, yes, he with his ability to adapt on the fly kind of thing could be beneficial, but at the same time, because the lightsaber combat really relied on the person's like
Connection
connection
to
to
the
the
force.
force, and that's why people mastered certain styles because each of them focused on their
Had a,
personality. Like Mace Windu had inner rage, so that's why he had his form, so that way he could use his rage and his enemy's rage against him. Obi-Wan was defense because he was much more peaceful and level-headed, so he
mm,
was much more defensive, stood on the defense until they made a mistake, and then he could capitalize. And then Yoda was just right in your face.
well, Yoda's form was more of force
Yes.
ability. So correct me if I'm wrong. His form was heavily focused on the ability of him using the force around his body, like
Yep.
jumping around, spinning around, flipping, and
Which
all
again, he
that.
needed that because of just his small stature. That
His size,
he needed to be
agreed.
able to move quickly, otherwise he would stand no chance.
Well, you know what? That makes it interesting because now I'm wondering, would he have a specific form? Hypothetically, right? Let's say because we know what happens in season four. Once we see him in Ahsoka, with his time trained, granted, you know what I mean, him understanding the Force better in his own way, will he then be able? Would he pick a form, or would he stay in a variety of different forms?
We have to see.
That's
I
gonna be
mean,
interesting.
yeah, definitely. We don't know obviously what's been going on all this time. We don't really know how much time has actually passed. We know.
That's the other thing too. Also, the other fact too is how much time has passed for
Hmm.
them. Not so much around the time around us, but the time
Yeah.
for them. Because for all we know, they might not have had any time pass at all. It could have happened, as weird as it sounds, Star Wars. But also, no, but specifically, it comes down to like the space time continuum, where it's, the idea of relativity in the sense of depending on what happened to them, where they traveled to, where they got stuck to, time may have not passed the same way as it did for everyone else
Yeah.
around
I
them.
mean, no, it's very possible. We don't know where the whales sent them.
That's also
Uh,
true. But yeah, overall, I mean, Ezra, I mean, I don't think he had a huge. He didn't have like a huge character arc in this season. I didn't think. I mean, he definitely got like the teacher aspect of it. He was more. I guess he was kinder, friendlier. I think this was more of him overcoming the darkness
mhm.
inside of him than anything else. But I think his overall story arc, this wasn't a big piece of it, in my personal opinion.
No, it definitely wasn't focused really too much on him. I mean,
And it didn't
it
need to
had,
be. It didn't
huh?
need to be. I said it didn't need to
No,
be either.
it was more just a touch on each of them. It really focused on building the rebellion. Um,
Hmm.
but I mean, Ezra had his moments and whatnot. I mean, obviously, he had his moments with Maul and learning to
Yes.
not be so trustworthy. Um, I mean, if I remember,
And also him with
yep,
Handu too, and understanding that he's too
yes,
trusting.
like he's young, he wants to trust people, he wants to see the good in people, but there are just certain people that you can't trust, and I mean, he
Exactly.
even I, it was it was at the end of the Hondu, uh, Hon, Hondo, not Hondu, Hondo, right? Well, anyway,
You're asking me.
I mean, hey, he's your favorite Star Wars character, so.
I know, but I'm not confident in anybody's name.
um,
I say Kanan, and I'm not proud of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not confident in that answer
you could
either.
see that, like,
Um,
with that interaction with when he was
the final
when
one, yes.
he was talking about how there's nothing more important than friendship, and obviously Handu was not as confident, not as confident, but like like
He only was saying it to cover
exactly,
himself
yeah, yeah,
because everything was
and
screwed up, and he was just like,
you saw how disappointed Ezra was because he wanted to have faith in him, and he just kept proving him wrong.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree with you 100%. And then let's just move on to Handu on this one, or Hondo. Um, he there was no character arc whatsoever. He's the same as he's always been. He'll never
No.
change, and I'm not mad about it. He is perfect in his own little way. He is also the best. I mean, honestly, if this character was ever live action, it would have to be played by Johnny Depp, or else it's the only live action actor that I would be okay with it. Like the mannerisms, the talking
He's
points, like
he,
that is literally the space
yep. I
Captain
was
Jack
just
Sparrow.
about to say he's Captain Jack Sparrow, but in Star Wars. So I mean, it would be
But
perfect.
like he's just a space pirate. He's a space Captain
Yep.
Jack Sparrow, like legitimately, and it is just so perfect because he manipulates everything in his way, even when it doesn't go
Hmm.
his way, and it's his ability to use his linguistic skills is incredible. Like he has talked himself out of being executed, out of losing crewmen, out of having an enemy to become an ally. Granted, just temporary, but still convincing the rebellion to help him steal
Yep.
treasure. Like you understand what I'm saying? Like he is by far the greatest of
Hmm.
all time. And honestly, I am I am dying on this hill. Greatest Star Wars character ever. Ever.
I love his character. I've loved it since Clone
I
Wars. I
mean,
loved it in Rebels.
agreed. I mean, like, I want more of them. Excellent. Just loved them. Let's move on to Zeb. Zeb was another one who didn't have a big character boost at all, but I think we got to see him more as a
Hmm.
leader a little bit. Not too much, but enough to be like, okay,
We saw him. We
like you
saw
can.
him in the one episode where he was left in charge with the droids.
I know,
Um, we saw him.
which was hilarious.
Yes, yes, it was. We saw him gain more confidence in himself, and
Agreed.
that's his big thing. He didn't really see himself as being useful like the other members of the crew, and that episode finally made him see that he was a valued member. He just needed to find the find the part that made it more fit in, I guess. Like,
I guess the big thing, and I think you're right, but I think you're just saying it in a way that's
I'm saying it poorly.
makes. Well, no, no, it's not. Well, yes, but I mean, no. I think for me, it's one of those things where it's like I think he didn't have the confidence. Like he was always a valued member
Yeah.
of the crew. Now, granted, I'm not saying he wasn't ever. I'm just saying he didn't think so. And we know that from that episode more than any
Yep.
other episode. Like he's hinted at it a few times, he's talked about it a few times, but overall, I think for me, he in this episode was the only episode, in my opinion, that we actually see him confident in himself, other than maybe when he did the when he brought his people back to the original
Yes.
planet. That was the only other time we saw him confident. You know what I'm saying? And I think after this, he was the most confident he's ever been. And I think it had to do with the fact that he didn't rely on his friends
Yes.
completely.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he did it himself-ish. I say ish because he still had the help of the droids, but it was
It was
him.
his plan. It was
Uh,
his strategy. He was coming up with everything. Whereas
exactly.
instead,
And it worked out
yeah,
perfectly.
he was in charge instead of taking orders. So
I mean, he still wasn't confident in his plan even after it was executed until he got the report from Volcron that, by the way, congratulations on whatever the heck you did, but you did
yep.
well. It blew up an entire space cruiser. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what really made it better, in my opinion. The one who I think had the biggest story arc, in my personal opinion, was Sabine.
Yes.
This was her season, hands
Oh,
down.
definitely. No, they really focused in on her and uh
People.
her dilemma.
Yeah, not only just her, but her people too. I mean, that was a big piece of
Hmm.
it too. The fact that she, I mean, we had an idea of her backstory. We didn't know everything. It was kind of bits and pieces here and there. It was little like digs that she's made type of thing. Um, and then getting the dark
Hmm.
saber really messed things up for her because now she was like, "Uh oh," right? And that was
It
a
made
whole
her
thing. And
confront her past.
it made her have to confront
Yep.
everything, not just her past, but her future and her present. She now has to make the decision: is she going to be the leader now? Because technically, by Mandalorian lore, she should be the leader. Now, granted, the argument being that she didn't win it by combat, blah blah blah, but she did technically win combat that would have earned her the right to have the dark saber after defeating the Mandalorian that was on the side of
Saxon.
Imperials. Thank you. I couldn't remember his name. I'm sorry.
Um,
But seeing and then also seeing the dynamic of her family. You know who it reminded me of, to be honest with you? Um, remember in Full Metal Alchemist, the the long what were they called? The blonde people. Um, the two blondes. The strong muscular man and then the skinny thin girl.
oh,
And they were brother and
oh,
sister.
I know who you're talking about. Yep, yep, yep. Muscle Man.
That like their Yeah, and that family makes me think of Sabine's family because they're just literally
Yep.
fighting each other. You know what I mean? Like they actually care about each other, but they fight to show that they care. It's a weird thing, but it actually makes sense.
That's the
And
Mandalorian way.
yeah, but I don't know if it's the Mandalorian way or if it's specifically her family because we've never. I mean, yes, all right. I'm not going to argue that it is the Mandalorian way, but I think this is the first time we've seen it as a
That's the
family.
first. That's the
You know
first
what I'm
time
saying?
we really
Seen
saw
a
too
family.
so much. Well, I mean, we know snips and bits of Mandalorian lore from past Star Wars content in this with Clone Wars, but we never really saw like it was all military strategy and all that stuff. Whereas now we got into a personal aspect, which still had that military aspect.
Well, because that's all
Yes,
they
they're a
know, really. I
military
mean, that's how I
culture,
think.
so it's all everything revolves around that. So, I mean, like you said, they're gonna fight, and that's showing their affection and it's showing their rage, and they show their emotions through war, which is crazy to think about.
Mm. No, I know. And then the fact that Sabine comes back is even better with a little bit of the Mandalorians, and I just thought that was incredible. I mean, overall, she definitely earns the title of best character arc this
Her
season.
and Hera.
Um, See, so I think Hera comes second, and here's my reasoning.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, my reasoning has to do with the fact that we didn't have much time with Hera. I think what we saw with her was her internal struggle of the rebellion and her
Hmm.
family, and her family falling apart quite literally because of the
Yep.
rebellion. And I think this is not her strong suit. I think, if I remember correctly, it's season 4 where Hera shines, in my personal opinion.
I think. I mean, I definitely agree with that. I mean, she suffers.
I don't remember. I will know more when we
Yep.
watch it, obviously. But from what I remember, and that hasn't happened yet, I think Hera's story arc is like getting there, but this isn't her moment yet. Like, don't get me wrong. It is not that she didn't have a good story arc. I'm just stating that it was definitely watered down a little bit, in my personal
Well, I
opinion.
mean, I think each season kind of shares the spotlight with each character. So, uh,
I agree.
like you said, this season was mostly Sabine because it was reintroducing the Mandalorians and Kanan.
See, it was Sabine and Kanan. I think were
Yeah,
the two
now
big
I
ones
know.
for
Now
this.
after I said Kanan, it kind of clicked in my head that no, it was yeah Sabine and Kanan definitely.
It's like Kanan. I think it was Kanan in the first half and Sabine in
Yes,
the second half, where it was Kanan overcoming his blindness, where
and
now
personal
he can
doubts.
see better than ever. Exactly. I mean, he literally can see better than he's ever been able to see, which is so beyond me. Um, but then we have Sabine on the second half, who literally had to overcome
Hmm.
her demons, like her past demons. Yeah. Chopper, super excited to see him live
I
action.
love Chopper.
He is
I just
the
love.
best
I remember. I
best
remember
droid.
you were talking to me at one point. I don't remember if it was on the podcast or if we were just talking outside when it was. Um, you just like I hate the fact that he's talking and I feel like I can understand what he's saying.
Oh, he 100%. So what I've learned is he actually says his lines.
Oh yeah, he does.
No, but it's just like I don't know what made me think that it's like not the case, but like all of a sudden, like sometimes you can clearly
Hmm.
hear what he's saying, and I'm like, I can understand him. And then there's other times he says stuff, and you're like, I have no
Oh
idea
yeah.
what he just said. And then the characters are like, did he just say what I think he said? And I'm sitting there going, I have no idea what he said at all. Like
Please
not even a
inform me.
clue. Oh, yeah, like exactly. I hope, first off, one, they better not change his personality in live
They
action. I will
can't.
be
They cannot.
livid. They can't. He is by far the funniest droid. First off, best
Yeah.
droid. Better than R2D2, and I'm
No,
sorry.
absolutely. No,
Uh,
absolutely. R2 had sass, but the fact that
no, Chopper is a
yeah,
whole
he
nother
just like takes
level.
it tenfold, and the fact that like R2 has the beep, so you don't really understand what he's saying. You understand what he says from other people. You literally sense the personality. You can feel it coming out of Chopper.
Oh, 100%. And I love one of my favorite moments is when Chopper's actually being nice after being possessed or under the control of
No.
the Empire, right? He actually is nice to, is it B12? What is his name?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know who I'm
yeah. The
talking about.
inventory droid. I forget his name.
The inventory droid. And he's like, I don't like how you're being nice to me. And then Chopper goes up to him and just smacks him around and is like, fine, I won't be nice to you ever again. And just, and walks away and like rolls away. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Perfect droid. I am so glad that he's going to be in Ahsoka. You know what I'm saying? Like, not that I didn't think he was anyway, but the fact that he just was, incredible. He got his little moment to shine. A few times actually, but the big one I thought was when he got taken over by the
Yeah.
Empire and realizing how important he is to
Yep.
the rebellion. Not that I didn't think he wasn't to begin with, but just overall, just incredible. And like I said, best
I
droid
love
hands down.
how I love how important it shows that he is to the group in terms of just like him being one of the family. Like when Hera found out that the Empire had him, she was like they better not they keep their hands off my droid. She she loves him. As one of the as family.
Well, she was the one that found him.
What?
She was
Oh
literally the
yeah,
one that found him.
absolutely. No, I mean like just the connection that they have.
I'm just curious of where the I'm curious where the personality came from. Like, was that damage or was that meant to happen? Like, I gotta assume it's damage. Like that, nobody's creating a droid with that much sass on
I don't know. It's
purpose.
definitely both.
It's a combination of the two. But yeah, no, he was excellent. Rex was cool in the sense of I'm glad that we got to see more of him. I mean, realistically, Rex was just Rex. He's doing
He
what he
took a
does
step
best.
back.
He's being
He
alone.
wasn't. He didn't have much. He kind of was just like a very minor supporting character in this season.
Well, I think it just shows his military
Hmm.
prowess overall. That like he's a part of the rebellion, but like at the same time, he knows he's not the
Oh
main
yeah.
point of it.
Was it this
And
season with
not that
the
he ever tried.
Confederate droids, or was that season two? It
Yeah,
was
that
this
was this
season. Yeah.
season. It was this season. That was honestly my favorite episode. Um, and then the two of them working together just
Hmm.
blew my mind. Um, that was a good episode. The other one I wanted to talk about was Callus. This was also another one that I thought was a big
Yep.
character arc. We kind of figured he was going to turn. I mean, granted, let me rephrase that. We knew he was going to turn
Yeah.
because we've already seen it. But I mean, it was kind of hinted when he got saved by Zeb. Um, and we definitely see it more in this one. And the fact that he tried to manipulate Thrawn and the Empire even after being almost outed,
Yep.
and then being used, then so the whole thing was then he was being used, and then at the end he gets captured, beaten up, ready to be executed, and in the end gets saved by the rebellion and is now part of the rebellion
Yep.
full time.
And I love that he still managed to manipulate Thrawn into having he manipulated Thrawn because Thrawn was so pissed about the rebels that manipulated him so that way he could escape because he knew that he could take the stormtroopers. He had the storm, he got pissed off Thrawn, so Thrawn was like, "Get him out of my sights." The stormtroopers took him away, and he just, you know, next thing we know, we see him in the elevator, and the stormtroopers are knocked out.
Incorrect. Thrawn wasn't the one that
Oh,
sent him.
Governor Price, right?
He was
He was
already
already
on.
on
He was
planet.
already off.
Correct.
He was
Yep.
on the
Yep.
world. He
Yep.
was on planet. But no, I agree with you. So you're correct.
Wrong
Just
person.
wrong person.
Not as
He knew.
impressive
He
that
knew.
that it wasn't Thrawn, but either way.
No, I agree with you. But I also don't think Thrawn would have thrown him into the space either.
No. No.
He would have tortured him and made
Mm-hmm.
an example of him. So I mean, so like it's one of those things where it's like apples and oranges. But I do agree with you
Oh,
that
I could use that.
the feat isn't as powerful because it wasn't Thrawn, but still
Yes.
excellent on his part, and that he's able to escape. Um, who else am I missing?
We talked
I feel
about
like
Hera a
that's
little bit. We talked about Zeb. Talked about Callus, Sabine. I mean, Ezra. We kind of talked literally 2 seconds, and then we moved on to another character.
well because he didn't really have a big story arc.
No.
This wasn't his season. This
No.
was not his season. Next season is 100% his season. I
Yep.
remember
That is
that
for
for
sure.
sure. I don't remember if it's the whole season, but it's definitely a
We
good
talked
chunk of
about
it.
Chopper.
Yep.
The what's his name? The commander made the sacrifice. That was pretty to help Ezra
Yeah,
get to go find
no,
help.
that was a big one. I don't think I remembered that
I do not
happening, to
remember
be
that
honest
happening.
with you. Well, because when they were doing it and he said it, and I said, "Oh, well, how does he survive this?" Because I was like, "He's not." Well, no, because I'm like, "Well, he's not dead." Like in my mind, I'm like, "He didn't die," and then it happened, and I went, "Oh,
No, he did.
yeah, he's really dead. He's like dead, dead." So the other question I have for you is the senator that they save, is that the one from Andor?
uh,
The senator that they save, isn't that the same one from Andor? The senator from
yeah.
Andor.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay. Because for some reason I asked you if that senator had been around before, and you said no. When we were talking about Andor,
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember saying any. I don't remember that.
I swear I asked you, have we seen this character before? And you were like, no, we haven't. Maybe. Oh, you know what? No, I know what I did. I know what I did. I thought when I asked you, I thought she was a senator from the sequel series, not
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
the.
the senator that did the hyperspace suicide thing. Yeah, no, 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 no.
Yes, this is. Sorry, that's my bad. I don't think I registered that she was, but I thought that I didn't realize she was already a character until rewatching Rebels, and then I was like, oh,
I mean, she's a
you know
prominent
what I'm
character
saying?
in the original trilogy as well.
The like
Yeah.
4, 5, and 6.
Okay, I can't really say prominent, but she's a major player. Like she's in the briefing rooms, especially in
Oh yes, yes, yes,
yeah,
yes, 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 yes. No, you're right. You're right. Obviously, different
yes,
actress.
yes. The fact that I'm blanking on her
No,
name is
okay.
really irritating me.
Mora something. Um, no, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, so she was a shocker for me because I didn't register that she was a character that's been around for a while, quite literally. Um,
Mon Mothma.
Thank you. Um, yeah, I mean, overall, what was your favorite? Okay, what was your favorite episode? All right, so what was your favorite episode for the series, and what was your favorite episode in general?
See, the issue with that's
This is tough. This is
no,
tough. There's
there's a
too many.
lot,
I know.
but the thing that's pissing me off is that every single day when I was watching this, I'm like, I found the episode that I was like, okay, this is definitely my favorite, and I'm like, I got to remember this because Scott's gonna ask me what my favorite episode is,
It is. It's gonna
and
happen,
and
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 here
of
we are.
course I forget what the episode is, so now I'm pissed. Uh
For me, I think the best episode for the season or series, however you want to call it, for the season, for the story overall, I think is actually the last episode.
the closer.
Yep. I think it was just everything we wanted. Now, my favorite episode that didn't relate to the plot was definitely Handu, his final hoo ha when he got his little bit of treasure, which happened to be his crew member. That was by far my
That was
favorite episode.
hilarious. That was
Um,
hilarious.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's definitely some like obviously there's many others that are like honorable mentions. Like the mall finally being
Hmm.
done was definitely a big one for me. Emotional for me, just because I liked mall. They did they did mall justice that we weren't even
Yeah,
prepared for.
definitely.
Not so much in Rebels necessarily. Well, let me rephrase it. Definitely not in season 3, but definitely in the overall animated series in general.
Yeah,
They did a great job. All right, so what are yours? I gave you as
I'm
much time
I'm
as I
going. I
could.
finally found. I finally found. I couldn't find. I was going through Disney Plus trying to find season three, and I just couldn't find Rebels. Like it just wasn't coming up. So I finally got it. I finally pulled it up. So I'm running through. Uh,
Everyone's just waiting, Mike. We're just sitting here
yeah,
waiting.
relax. You're good.
Oh, you know what? There's another good one. Was what's his name? Forrest Whitaker's character. He was in Clone Wars. He was also in Andor. He was also in Rogue
Oh,
One. Um,
the extremist. Uh,
yes, 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 yes. That was a good one too.
again, blanking on the names right now. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I just know him as Forrest Whitaker. And honestly, in Rebels, they made him heavily look like
Oh yeah.
Forrest Whitaker.
Funny.
Heavily. All right. Well, we're not going to have downtime while Mike is doing this.
I'm gonna
So we'll
I'm
talk
gonna
about
go
more things.
with I think my favorite part was the I think the visions and voices when Maul and Ezra go to the Night Sisters. Um, Ezra being able to use his friends to help him out even when they were in trouble, showing his loyalty. Um, trying again, trusting Maul.
No,
Yep.
because that's always good. I always agree that it's a
Um,
good idea. Always trust them.
I just enjoyed that episode, being able to see the Night Sisters again. Obviously not to their full capacity. I know
Hmm.
the Night Sisters are an interesting uh, group. Being able to see them once again after they've been wiped out.
I hope we get to see like some sort of spin-off
I
of
think we're
just
getting a
them.
spin off of
I
that.
know
I
there's
think
been
that's the acolytes.
I know there's been rumors, but I don't.
I think
Wait,
the
what?
if isn't the acolytes isn't that the acolytes?
Well, it's unclear. Like it's unclear that because the idea is they're supposed to be the villain, but it's not clear that it's going to be about them as
That's
weird
the
as it
rumor.
sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the rumor exactly.
But I mean the other
But that's also thousands of years
yes,
before
yes.
episode one.
The other thing, the other episodes, like we were talking about, just the episodes with Sabine and with her trying to. Oh yeah, my favorite episode, just her accepting the dark saber and trying to train with it, and just seeing her character evolve in that episode, just slowly
Yeah.
uh, go from hesitant and scared and reluctant to I'm going to embrace this, and just seeing and then seeing Kanan evolve as well, going from I need to be strict with you to I'm not I'm your friend. I'm here for you. That was a great episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's more like the therapist in this one. He's like seeing her pain, and he's just like, all right, well, I'm gonna just beat it out of her because that's what Mandalorians do. So I'll just do it that way, and that's pretty much what he did. I mean, he didn't hurt her, but I mean, like, he definitely hit
Oh
her
yeah, he was
right in the
strict
heart.
when he needed to be, but then after when he finally got to her and she started opening up, that's when he became, the friend. And then also, like I said, with a little bit with Hera about her character evolving, just like her being the mother figure of the group, just you know, with Kanan, like him being like she's just not getting it, she can't do this, blah 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 blah, and Hera's like you're not supposed to be treating her like Ezra. She's a different person. You got to treat her how what works for her. And
Yeah.
and again, like with when I was talking about with Ezra being a good teacher, just seeing him change from oh he's all excited because he's seeing as someone else train with a lightsaber and messing with her and teasing her, being a friend, and then just in the episode like coming over and after she was down in herself coming over and uh really being mature about it and like actually being there for her and offering her advice and helping her with Kanan, understand Kanan's point of view. Um, like I said, that episode was just phenomenal. Just the character development in that one
There was a
episode, and just
there was a lot of good episodes, to be honest with you. But I do agree with you on that one. That character wise,
yeah,
definitely the best. All right. So we have spent enough time on Star Wars for the next episode or the next video. We'll talk about season 4, and then we'll be ready for Ahsoka. Almost. Actually, no. We will be reading the Thrawn books after that. But anyway, let us move on to what Mike has decided to do in DC. So, Mike, tell us what you're going to do because I'm going to be silent
that's
for
not
this
going
one.
to happen. You wanted to say something, but um, so I took this one out of Scott's playbook because I didn't really know what to talk about for this episode, um, and I decided that to plan for Flashpoint because technically, Flashpoint could lead to a bunch of different things that we do not know of yet. Um, I
No,
decided to
that's
look
true.
at a couple different Flash universes and go over them a little bit. Um, So in the, I guess in the main universe, when Earth Prime, however you want to call it, Earth One, Earth Prime, there's a bunch of different ways for it. The
The
original
original
Earth.
one. The original one.
Um,
Yeah.
I think with DC, for the most part, the original Earth is considered Earth One. Um, Unlike with Marvel, which is 616 is the main one, I think DC is Earth One.
I think
Um,
you're correct. I think I remember that. I think.
um, for the most part, when Earth One is the main one, it is the only one, and then when Barry Allen goes back in time to to save his mother, that created basically the multiverse for a decent portion of the, depending on the universes that we're looking at, not the universes, but the like the Rebirth and New 52 and all those things. I forget how to categorize them, but most iterations, Flashpoint creates the multiverse because it begins the branch off, and things change and creates different timelines and whatnot. So going forward, once we see the Flash movie, we could potentially see that, and we're already technically talking about that because James Gunn has discussed this. So the first universe that I wanted to look at, it is Earth 22, which confuses me because it is also known as Earth 96. Um,
I always get those two mixed up.
I, I don't understand why, but Earth 22, also known as Earth 96. Um,
Well, if you remember last week, I was talking about Earth 3, which is actually Earth
yep.
34 in the future. It's just, or whatever it was. I was like, oh, okay, because that makes sense. But
You
the
were
thing
like explaining it to me, and after you were done talking, you're like, "Do you understand?" I'm like, "No."
yeah, welcome to the multiverse. Nobody gets it.
um, so
So what happens on this Earth 22 slash
on this Earth, I
96?
told you you wouldn't be able to be quiet. On this Earth,
Yeah, I already knew that.
on this Earth, the Justice League or Justice Society of America broke up. No one stepped up, and um, so the younger heroes didn't have any role models to look up to. This led to the younger heroes, instead of fighting for what is just and what is righteous, they are a little bit more selfish. They are more vigilantes than they are superheroes. So
Would you say more like anti-hero or not to that degree?
no, because they're more selfish. So they,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
that's why I'm
I guess
thinking
we'll go with
anti-hero.
that. Um,
They're doing it more for their
yes, yeah.
self-interest.
So yeah,
I mean, yes, it's the good thing, but it's also
they won't do it
benefits
if it
them.
doesn't benefit them. Um,
That sounds right.
so and now I lost my train of thought.
They
They
had
had
no
no
role
role models.
models.
No one stepped up until a character named Magog. I can't say his name, but he was a new and violent generation. He was a superhero that set the standard, and like I said, he was violent, and a lot of the younger superheroes were seeing this and that this is what we got to do. So he killed Joker in revenge for killing his entire staff at the Daily Planet. Um, Doing this and seeing, and this led to him being pardoned by the government for his crimes. Superman lost faith in humanity and became isolated and no longer was being a hero. Um, Lee
Was he a villain or was he kind of just
Magog?
there?
No,
No, I'm
he
talking
was
about
just there.
Superman.
He
You said he
literally
wasn't
didn't do
there.
anything. Like
Oh, okay.
he basically stepped back, kind of happy. He kind of started a family, and his kids kind of took on the mantle of being a superhero after some
Hero
time.
role.
But so in this universe, we had we had the Flash, which this Flash was Wallace West.
Okay.
He was a member of the Justice League and the father of Kid Flash. In the American Midwest, Wally West was a good man. He received super speed through unknown means, and this he served as a hero, calling himself the Flash. After Superman retired, the Flash remained a hero, but he stopped stopping. Basically, this iteration of the Flash became so fast that he literally could not stop, otherwise he would just completely evaporate. This Flash is one with the Speed Force. When they think of the Speed Force, they these two go together. So he can control everything. He was recruited by Superman and used Superman as a he used Superman as a belief or as a role model for himself to look out for others. But with the Speed Force, being one with the Speed Force, he is just incredibly powerful. Going on to the next universe, this one is a little bit more extreme. This universe, we are looking at Earth 3. This universe, Earth 3, is like ours, like Earth 1. It is a
It's only
huh?
two away. I was gonna say
Yeah.
it's only two away.
It is like ours, except instead of things being the way we know it, the Justice League is known as the Crime Syndicate. Yes, you
I do
do.
know them.
And I was correct then. They did make a DC animated movie off of this.
Yes.
This
The Crisis of Two Worlds, right? Isn't that what it
yes, it
was?
was.
That's the one where Owlman
Yes,
was, correct?
Owlman,
Okay.
Ultraman, Superwoman.
Superwoman.
So basically, in this universe, the Crime Syndicate is a crime organization full of superheroes that are literally out for themselves. And in this universe, the Flash is Johnny Quick. Now, Johnny Quick is kind of two characters in the DC universe, but obviously for this iteration, I'm going to be talking about the Crime Syndicate.
Yes.
Huh? Oh,
No, I
yeah.
said yes. I agree with you.
Johnny Quick was a supervillain on the alternate Earth designated as Earth 3, but rather than being a counterpart, he was a version of the Flash that cared about himself and cared about committing crimes. In this universe, Lex Luthor was a hero. He was at odds, just like in the regular universe, he was at odds with the crime syndicate, but instead of him committing the crimes, he was trying to protect his Earth. He has same powers as the Flash as usual, but again, very selfish, very crime oriented. He killed a lot of people, and as we saw in the movie, he ran to the point that he would kill himself. He would be wiped away.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cute.
Next. Earth is the New Earth.
Is that what it's actually called? No. Because let's be honest, so many things have been known as that. That's why I
During
wanted to
this
make
research,
sure.
I found that there are, instead of it just being numbers,
They have letters, they have words, they have alpha, beta,
New Earth,
zeta,
I saw Earth
Jehovah's
D,
Witness,
Earth Prime, Earth 1.
Earth P, Earth PQ. You name it, they got it.
New Earth formed approximately 10 billion years after the Big Bang, following the destruction of the multiverse in the Crisis of Infinite Earths and restarting of a single positive matter universe, along with the antimatter universe. The new history of New Earth was primarily the history of Earth 1 with additional aspects of Earth 2, 4, S, and X. As a result, although it superficially resembled the pre crisis Earth 1, it is in fact a new Earth. Man, it just goes so far.
This is what happens when Mike
No, I
doesn't
prepared
prepare
properly, but
properly.
now for some reason my phone reset everything. Why did. No, legit. Like it just cleared through my thing. Ah, that's correct. In this universe, Bizarro is a major factor. In this universe, Bizarro comes in contact with a. In this universe, Bizarro found himself infused with the radiation of the blue sun. When he infused his powers with the blue sun, he discovered that he could replicate himself. He replicated certain members of the Justice League. He created Bizarro Batman, Bizarro Green Lantern, Bizarro Hawkgirl, Bizarro Wonder Woman, and Bizarro Flash.
This is the
Yep.
Bizarro universe? Shut up. Continue. That is hilarious. Continue.
So the Bizarros were actually wanted to save the universe from Bizarro Doomsday.
Did he create Bizarro
I really
Doomsday?
can't. I really can't follow this one too much, to be honest.
Mike's
I
like, no,
really.
I have no idea. He might have, he could have, he might have. I don't know.
So the abilities of the Bizarros, obviously, they are mentally slower than their normal counterparts.
No.
um, in this iteration, the Flash, where did that go?
How slow
The
is he?
Flash is literally the exact opposite of regular Flash. He is not fast. He is super slow. He is not. He does not have the metabolism of a god. He is incredibly fat, and whenever he's fighting people, he's usually eating something. Um,
Does he have super
no,
speed
he's
or is
super
he just
slow.
super slow?
He's,
So how does he fight people? Just.
I wish I could show you the picture of this because it's like it is a gray, disinformed blob in a flash suit just running.
That is hilarious.
Um,
It was quite. I mean, obviously, Bizarro is
yep,
the opposite of Superman, so therefore, Bizarro Flash would make sense to
yep.
be the opposite of
So
Flash.
that's obviously their weakness is that they can't process things as quickly. Um, obviously, um,
Well, they're just the opposite of their actual
yes,
counterparts.
yeah,
Yeah. Excellent. I am actually. I did not. I thought it was just called the Bizarro universe. I didn't realize it was
yeah.
called
No,
New Earth.
yeah. No, I learned that the Bizarro universe is
It's
from is in the New Earth,
Earth 3. I mean, New Earth.
but
That's actually really
the
interesting.
obviously
Oh,
that didn't go nearly as long just because a lot of it has so much information and for some reason my phone reset. Uh,
well, to be honest with you, it's not that big of a deal because we had a feeling this was going to be a small segment because the next episode is by far going to take up everything pretty much
yeah.
when we talk about the Flash. So let us move on now to what I think is well, what I thought was going to be the biggest part of this episode, but apparently season 3 of Rebels
Well,
was.
hey, we have a limited time
We have
now, so you don't have a charger
that is
limitation.
true. That is true. Exactly. So we could go for hours. The big thing for me was so we first off, spoilers ahead. We are going to be talking about Spider-Man
Part
Across
one.
the Spider-Verse. Uh, no, it's not called
No,
Part One. No, so originally when it was first being talked about, it was called Part One, but they changed it because the second movie's not called Part Two. It's called Beyond the Spider
Oh,
Verse.
okay. Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
so they went with a new title. So I think that's why
Makes
they got
sense.
rid of the Part One, which does make sense. So anyway, I think what we need to do is talk about the overall plot, and then we'll go into more detail about the variants of
There's so many.
Spider-Man. That's going to take a while, but we do have the time. The big thing for me was so we see it's actually a two-parter. So in the beginning, we get to see Gwen Stacy as Ghost Spider back in her home universe, dealing with the aftermath of what's happened with Kingpin and his Ultron Collider. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to say,
The
but
Collider.
you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the Collider. We'll just call it that. And her dad wants her dead, even though her dad doesn't know it's her. Um, we she's being hunted down, and she has to deal with a very specific vulture that is not from her universe. It is from it's from a um, I guess you would say Da Vinci
Yep.
like universe. Um, and that's when we meet Miguel.
Yeah, Miguel.
Is that how you say his name? Miguel. And oh my gosh, Jessica.
Hmm. But so the reason why her father wants her dead, or at least arrested, is because in her universe,
He killed.
her Peter ends up becoming the lizard, and when they're fighting, she actually accidentally kills him.
And that actually happens in the comics too, which is very sad. And do you know why Peter Parker became the lizard?
I do remember I do remember hearing how or why. I just don't remember it
Yeah,
at the moment.
from me. Um, so the reason why he did it was because now I don't know if it's the same for this movie. It might be slightly different because we didn't really get
When
to
he was
see it
dying,
fully.
he said that he wanted to
Uh,
be
he said he
cool
wanted to
or
be
like important like her. Yeah,
he
special
wanted to
like
be
her.
special. And in fact, that was pretty much the whole thing. So he wanted to be a hero like her. So that's where he injected himself with the lizard DNA to then help her defeat her supervillains. But come to find out, he turned himself into one of her greatest supervillains of all time. And in fact, at prom in this universe, is where she accidentally kills him. Very sad, very depressing. Um, and that's why Ghost Spider is the most wanted criminal in
Hmm.
all of her Earth. And then, the vulture, this new vulture that didn't belong there, got captured by Miguel and Jessica, who is Spider Man 2099 and Spider Woman. Spider Woman is very pregnant, and she's riding a motorcycle because she's pregnant. That's how I took that as. They take out Vulture, and then they offer her a chance. Not, not willingly right away, but they take a chance on her to join the Spider Alliance, as I like to call it.
I want to point out though, Jessica
Um,
was on board from the beginning, and Miguel was very against it, and Jessica like twisted his arm into accepting her.
yes, and we find out later why that's the case. Because she was too close to. Um, she was too close to. Oh my gosh,
There you
Miles.
go.
It hurt. It hurt everything, but it was there. Then we move on to Miles, and Miles, we get to see Miles in what is it, a year and a half after the
Yeah,
first
I think
movie
so.
ish, and he's supposed to be at a college
Yep.
advisor meeting. Is how I took it. I'm not quite positive what the meeting was like supposed to be, or like if it was his guidance counselor or what, but it was definitely
Yeah,
turned about
perhaps because
college for
he's a.
sure.
It seemed well. So he would be a sophomore, tenth grade. Yeah, because
I want to
junior
say
year is
yes.
when you start looking, and
Yeah,
they said that we wanted to get a head start. So
correct. And I mean, obviously he's very intelligent, but he's going to get to the meeting, and that's when he bumps into a couple of crimes and stops it, And then my personal favorite is the Spot. And for those of you who don't know, the Spot is always been, in my personal opinion, a joke villain in the Spider-Man universe. I guess the best way to put it. And he is not taken seriously, although he has the ability to do a lot of damage, obviously because of his portals. Overall, the character himself is
You know
kind of a
what's
joke.
funny is that I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw when the writers were coming up with this movie and they suggested using the Spot, the producers actually laughed at them because they were like the Spot is a joke, and then the writers told them his power, and they were like, you know what, we can make this work, and they did.
Well, the whole thing is that first off, they did. They 100% did. But what I'm getting at is even in this
Mm-hmm.
movie he was a joke in the beginning. And that was the point. Like he's not a heavy hitter in the Spider-Man villain category. But man, did he become one. So this version of the Spot is actually not even from Miles Morales' universe. He's actually from the universe in which the spider is from
Mm-hmm.
that bit him, which I thought was a nice little twist. And he was hunting down Miles Morales to take him out. And what then happened was they get into a huge fight.
You're
Miles,
leaving out him trying to rob an ATM,
I didn't think I had to go into that much detail. He tries to steal an ATM, but his portal
and then
wasn't big enough.
he gets attacked by the cashier, and
Yeah, it was just a whole thing. And then Miles Morales is heating up his lunch or his breakfast
just
while
sitting
this
there
is all
watching.
going on, by the way. And he finally gets involved after heating it up. Um, and the fight I thought was cool. Excuse me. I thought the fight was cool, but I think what was even cooler was the fact of him literally using the portals and then like
No,
webbing him
just
all
that
across New
was
York.
hilarious.
He's like, just stay here until the authorities come. And then he goes into the his dorm room. I'm
Mm.
assuming it's his
Yeah,
dorm room,
yeah. I didn't.
which is a weird. That was like an unclear thing for me that I was very confused on, because how could he be grounded if he didn't even? But that was a whole nother thing that will. That was probably the only thing, in my opinion, that didn't make sense to me in the movie, um, because of what's happened later on. Um, but that's a minor thing. So he goes in, tries to be Spider Man, but also be Miles Morales at the same time. And his friend is just like, man, you can't be both people at the same time. Are those my Jordans? Well, it's not my fault we're the same size. Take those off.
Snatched him.
I think it was just cool in general, seeing him try to be a kid, and then literally realize that he can't have it all. He can't be the star-studded, um, I guess, student and be the superhero at the same time. He just can't. Whether he realizes it or not is a different story, but I think he sort of realizes it in that beginning scenes. And his mom and dad are just
Oh my god.
hilarious. He's a real forward thinker. Like he's definitely big into school and stuff like that. And they're just trying to cover him, and I just find it hilarious.
And I love the texting.
And then he meets Yes, and then the best part is the dad and Miles both leave,
Yep. Yep. Miles books it first,
and
and then Dad's like, "There's nothing more important than being here right now." And then like, "Oh, well, I gotta go. I gotta go." Just peace.
no, I agree with you. And then the interaction between Spider-Man and his dad is hilarious, um, because he's just like, "Why don't you just lay off your
Excuse me.
kid?"
I mean,
Um, I'm just saying. And then his dad becoming captain was a huge thing too. And then Gwen, Ghost Spider, Gwen meets up with Miles again, and that's when things start to get
yeah, she referred
crazy,
to his parents by the
man.
first name.
Not allowed. Although to be fair, I personally like how They made a point to that in the beginning about how his friends use his first name, or how people that generation uses first names
Hmm.
instead of like Mister and Mrs. And it peeved him off. And then she does it, and they're just like, oh, okay, no, that's all right. We
Yep.
have a first name. That's right. And I think that's incredible. It is a joke, but it's still funny. Then we see the Spot gain a lot of power and then disappear. Um, and then that's when he sneaks into another universe. Specifically, India. Is that where he goes first?
Yes. Yep. Because he goes to the Indian universe first because Gwen doesn't know that Miles is following her, and he intervenes, which is what he should not have done.
And he saves the captain
Yep.
of the police department. Um, honestly, so I love that each world is its own little thing. Now, I know it sounds stupid when I said it, but let me explain. What I mean by it is like each world is designed in such a very specific way, and that no two worlds are the
Yeah.
same.
Absolutely.
And then once Spot gets into the collider in India, India Spider-Man, that's when
Now I was
he
gonna say, who
what?
is the happiest Spider-Man in existence?
Yeah, because nobody's dead yet, and nobody is dead and will die because of Miles.
Unless no, the universe could be destroyed.
Valid, valid, but the entire multiverse would
Well,
be
no,
destroyed,
his
not just
universe,
his.
because no, because he interrupted his canon
Oh,
event.
yes. Yes, that's right. I forgot that because all the
Yep.
Spider-Men came down and tried to fix it. Um, so we meet more than one Spider-Man. We meet obviously the Indian Spider-Man. We also meet Robbie, who is known as Spider-Punk, who is by far the
I love him.
coolest
He
Spider-Man
was
ever.
great.
Uh, he is anarchy at its
I just
best.
love it. I just love
Um,
how cool he was, how chill, and just like how it, throughout the entire movie, just the whole his attitude was just so awesome.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump around because I don't think we need to go in too much detail about everything. But obviously they have a canon event. Then they take him to the
Canon
Spider-Man
event
headquarters,
for
and we
those who are interested is a specific event in a universe that needs to happen.
specifically for the Spider-Man, it's getting bit by a spider. It is having the police
Or
captain dying
someone,
while
or at
trying to save
least
somebody.
someone close to them.
Well, no, one of them is the captain. The captain has to die. That's like
Well,
the
no,
big one for
because
everybody.
they were
It's
showing
the
it,
captain.
because in most universes the love interest's father is the police captain, but like in Toby's universe, it's Uncle Ben. So like,
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying now. Okay. Yes, because that's right. Because we also get to see
yep,
Uncle Ben
and
die
then
multiple times.
what's his
Uh,
name? Amazing Spider-Man. Oh my God, Andrew Garfield. Uh, huh?
yeah, we saw his. Oh yeah, we saw Gwen
Gwen,
die.
and we saw Gwen's father, the police captain, die. So it
Yes.
depends on the universe.
No, I. So, but overall, the idea was their thought process was for these universes, it was the
Yep.
captain dies. That's how it was phrased. I agree with you that it has to be somebody they care about.
Yes.
I'm just stating that it in their minds they're using that as the because it's like
Yes.
90% of the time that's what it is. Um, and once those canon events change, it can actually unravel the
Yes.
entire multiverse. Um, and Miles calls it the Spider-Verse, and Miguel calls it the Arachnid mul- uh, universe
That's something really
or
stupid.
something.
I
Yeah.
loved I had a good chuckle with that
Um,
one. He's just like, the Spider Verse. That's stupid. Well, what's it called? It's arachnid. Whatever.
the
He's just like,
Arachnid something.
yeah. That was stupid
Sorry,
too.
that's stupid too. That was stupid too. I think the other thing that messed with me, so the scene where we find out that Miles Morales' dad's got to die was definitely a hard hit. But I think the big thing was when they get into this big scene of all the Spider-Man hunting down Miles Morales. And we're going to go into more detail about the different Spider-Man later. But I think what kills me the most was when he finds out that while they're on the train to go to the moon, and that's not technically relevant. I know it sounds like it should be, but it's
No,
it's really
no,
not.
they
We
were
don't need
just
to explain
on a
anymore.
train going to the moon.
Um, yeah, to the moon because it's how we travel. Um, when he gets told that he was
Hmm.
never supposed to be Spider-Man, he was never supposed to exist. It was just so messed up.
And like you said, we did talk about this slightly briefly when he was when he was telling Miles that he wasn't supposed to be a Spider-Man, he wasn't important. We were both like, wow, he's pulling the race card. He's like, you're not supposed to be important. And then towards the end of the movie, we find out that he was actually telling the truth.
Literally, no, literally was not supposed to be. And I think the coolest part of that whole thing was like the whole sequence, and then he goes into the bring her back home machine, dumbest name
Yeah.
to a machine ever, and he gets sent to what he thinks is his universe, and it turns out it was not his universe. He was sent to the universe where the spider
Yep.
came from,
42.
which was Earth 42. Thank you. I almost
Close.
said 24. Um, I had the right numbers. Um, I think that was the most messed up part of
Yeah.
the whole movie. When we find out that there was no Spider-Man and the Miles Morales of that universe who was supposed to be Spider-Man turned
Yep.
into the Prowler. And then obviously Spider-Man gets captured and he's being basically tortured by the Prowler of that universe. And then we have a group of spider people coming to help save him, which consists of um, Ghost Spider, Spider Noir, Peter Porker, or Spider Ham, depending on how you want to look at it. Um, we have the Indian Spider Man. We have Punk Spider. We have. I feel like there's another one I'm missing. Oh, Spider. Peter B.
Yep.
Parker and May
And
Parker.
she was. I think she was. If was I right with the Peggy? Is that her name? The robot? No, she wasn't.
I
Oh,
don't
I
think
thought
she was there.
I thought
I
it.
don't think she
I
was
thought it was everyone.
because we
I
saw
thought it was everyone
we
from the
saw
first movie and the new ones.
no. We saw her. We saw her
Yeah,
in the in the.
I know. We saw her.
But we don't. I don't think she was not
Oh,
part of the
okay.
group. I don't think she. I don't remember seeing her as part of the group. I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. I could have missed her, but she was one that I did not remember seeing because I
Oh,
would have. She
absolutely.
would have stood out
I
because
thought it was all the
you
original
know.
ones from the first movie and the new ones because
No, well, it was
they're all
most
supposed
of
to be
them.
his
It was
friends.
most of them. It was most of them. It was most of them. I think she was
Okay.
the only one that wasn't. Um, and I think Spider Bite might be somebody that helps him out too. So I think those other two might actually come later to help him. Um, all right, so we got to talk about this. So I showed you a clip that I saw on TikTok of the exact moment where Miles Morales went from being the Prowler to Spider Man, and that's why Peter Parker got killed in the first
So
place of his
the
universe.
theory is that the Miles Morales of this universe is that he was supposed to be the Prowler, and the fact that he got bit by the spider from
Yes.
Earth 42 changed everything, and it resulted in him from changing his destiny from becoming the Prowler to that universe's Spider-Man, which leads to that's why
Yes.
that world Spider-Man got killed in the first movie because it can't have two Spider-Man. And then with him being bit by the spider from Earth 42, he
Earth 42
Earth
doesn't have
42
Spider
no
Man.
longer has a Spider-Man, so that world is completely in ruin.
Yeah, and I think for me too is there's actually a color scheme in the first movie that I didn't register until obviously watching it as a separate entity. Is the fact that we see the purple
Mm-hmm.
and the black in the beginning, and then he
Yep.
slowly turns
That's
into the
the
red and
that's the
blue,
I've been seeing that after you sent me
which
that. I've been seeing it all over Twitter about uh
all over the
of the
place.
of
Exactly,
the
same
color
here.
scheme like fighting, and then eventually the Spider-Man color scheme wins. Um, the other thing that I've been seeing
Yeah.
is that now that they dropped, the big hint back in the first movie when Miles killed the spider after it bit him, it glitched, and obviously we didn't know what that meant at first, but now it's not supposed to. It was
Now we
another
do.
universe's spider, so
So it wasn't supposed to be there,
yep,
which was why I was glitching. Which means they had a plan for all three
yep,
of these movies from the get go. They might not have the names or anything, but they definitely had the what they planned to do, and they
absolutely.
did an excellent job, personally. All right, so now we got to go talk about all the different Spider-Man. Um, okay, where do you want to start? So we had the Spectacular Spider-Man. We had the original Spider-Woman in there. We had who else? Oh, we had the Spider-Man that I
Yep,
talked about in the last video. Um,
Insomniac
we
Spider-Man.
had I'm talking. Oh yes, we did. We had Insomniac Spider-Man. We also had Spider-Man
Yep,
Unlimited
yep.
was there.
We had Toby. We had
Um,
Andrew.
we Yep, great. Yep, we did. We
Ice cream.
also had. Oh, you know what? We forgot. Yes, we did. We also had a T Rex. We
Oh,
had a cat.
that was funny.
Um, One thing we forgot to mention was um, that there was actually a multiversal link between Venom's universe
Mm,
and the MCU
yep.
technically. So we had the Spot pop into the Asian woman's convenience store where Venom is, and he pops his head out and he's like, "How come you're not surprised by this? Like you're acting like this is something you deal with every day. You deal with stuff like this all the time." And she's just unfazed by it, and he's just like, "I have a feeling like this is nothing new for you, and this is kind of irritating to me." And he leaves. And then we also have Donald Glover or Danny, no, Donald Glover, who is um, who's been in many different things, but he was actually played a character in Spider-Man: Homecoming, who actually is the character that's supposed to have turned into the Prowler, who he actually played the live-action version of Miles' uncle in the MCU, and we see him in a cage inside of the Spider headquarters, actually full costume as the Prowler. That was something I just wanted to
It is.
mention because I
It
think
is.
that's a big deal. Um, um, because there's the potential of him being the Prowler still. The other thing too is, which would explain why he hasn't been in the MCU yet, because he's been locked up. Fun fact for the kids. Um, we also have seen a bunch of different Spider-Men as well. We've seen a Spider Bite, which I thought was probably the coolest one of all because it was so unique. We also had Psychologist Spider-Man and Patient
We had
Spider-Man.
Spider Horse.
We had no, no, no.
It was
It was
Spider
Spider
Outlaw,
Outlaw.
but this horse
The horse
had a
was a
mask.
psycho. His horse was a because he didn't want the horse to be identified. I did like his gun
Oh
though.
yeah,
His gun shot the webs in a way I was not prepared for. I don't know what I was expecting, but I was not. I
that
was
that
not
was
mentally
that was a
prepared for
fun
that.
little feature.
Yeah. So many different and like every version of animated Spider-Man
Yep.
was there. We also had the Scarlet Spider. We had so
There's
many others.
Oh
There's
yeah,
just so
no,
many I can't
it's
keep track of
impossible to
them.
keep track of them. You can only really keep track of the ones that they were really pointing out.
No, I agree. I agree. But yeah, overall, it was definitely it was just so many. And in this next one, I don't even know what they're gonna go with the movie. I mean, obviously, we know they're gonna have to fight Spot at some point, but like, it sounds like Spot might not be the most important villain again.
Oh, oh
Like,
yeah,
it might be
yeah, yeah,
Miles
yeah.
Morales. It might be Miles Morales. Because in the comics, one of Miles Morales' biggest enemies was obviously Hobgoblin, who was his best friend, but his other one actually was 616's Miles Morales. So Miles Morales in the comics was not from 616 technically originally, as if you didn't know, now you know. He then became part of 616 later on after an Insurgents, I believe. Um, Incursion, sorry, an Incursion. The thing that they talked about in Doctor Strange when the two universes collide.
I'm listening to your story. I wasn't.
Oh, you had that. I'm sorry. You had that look of like I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, and then he actually had to fight 616, like their Miles Morales, who was like very scary, like criminal level, like yeah, was definitely one of his biggest foes at one point. Granted, obviously, I think they kept him out of it now because I think it's hard to imagine you fighting yourself forever. So they probably didn't keep him around long, but he was definitely a tough fight for Miles. Um, just overall, excited to see where it goes. A little disappointed they didn't have like a
We've
cutscene or
become so
anything.
accustomed to a post-credit
Uh,
scene.
well, I think what they did was they just told us the new title, which
Mm.
I didn't hate. Um, it just doesn't help me know what's going to happen.
I mean,
But but there is the potential, and I'm throwing this out here. I'm saying it now. It is June 10th, as I am saying it right now. This will air on June 15th, but I'm saying it June 10th tonight. That Beyond the Spider-Verse ending is going to be them going to another universe that happens to be MCU
it's
universe.
possible. The only
And I think we're going to have Ghost Spider. We're gonna have some
the only
characters.
thing that is going to be a little bit questioning, which I don't know if you heard this, that I might change your opinion or not. They've already confirmed that once these trilogies are over, the Miles Morales isn't going to be featured in movies for a while.
They've talked about a Miles Morales
It's
Spider-Man
been
live
talked about,
action has
but
been
like
talked
the
about.
Miles Morales from like this Miles Morales, this trilogy, they're they're done with him. Like once.
Oh no, no, that's fine. That's fine. I can understand that. I think the idea was that somehow it's going to be connected to the MCU, but we'll have to wait and see. That's what. But I'm still sticking with my guess on that one. I'm saying it. I'm saying it, and I'm. You know what? That way, next year when we have this conversation after watching the movie, and we can either say I was right or wrong. And I don't like your face because
No,
we're
no,
gonna
no.
say I'm
I'm
right.
going to be saying I don't think
And
it's going to be next year. I think the movie's going to get postponed. Yes.
well, as of right now, it's next year.
Apparently they just
So
started recording some of the voice the voice acting, and I was seeing reports that for this movie it took about 4 years to record the voices. So if they're only just starting to do the recordings now, unless the characters are like going to be playing minor parts, it's going to be taking a lot more than 1 year to get it all done.
no, see, I disagree with that. There's a reason why. I think the reason is because I think they've done some of the animation already. Where the reason why they waited so long was because of the animation took forever. They wanted to get all the words in and everything else to see what they were going to go with. But I think because this was originally supposed to be a two-parter, that they did the both at the
Oh,
same time. I think they actually record the she Haley Steinfeld made a comment that she's not sure whether or not they already started recording for this movie, the third movie or not, because they recorded so much 4 years for the last 4 years that they don't. She doesn't even know. Like she knows not everything she recorded made it into
okay.
the movie. She knows that, but she doesn't know if that means that that's going to be used for the new movie or what. So they might be recording stuff that they've added in or changed possibly. Fine, but I think they've already started it. Now that does not mean it still won't happen until later. Like meaning people push back, it still could. I'm just stating that I think they actually pushed this out a little bit quicker, um, because I think they had this idea of being a
Okay.
two-parter.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because it sounded like for this one, this was
Yeah.
going to be a two-parter right from the get-go, and it kind of is, but it's
Hmm.
not as much as we originally thought. Um, but yeah, overall, thought the movie was phenomenal.
Yep.
I recommend it. I would say
How much?
9.5 out of 10 and 9.5 out of 10. And the only reason why I'm going that low is because, well, I didn't have all the Spider-Man I wanted.
Which
There
Spider-Man did
wasn't
you
enough.
not get?
Not enough Spider. I don't know. I didn't see it. Actually, so what's funny is, oh, I did forget this. So there was the Fantastic Four Spider-Man that was there. Um, yeah, there's a Spider-Man that's part of the Fantastic Four, and he actually has the Fantastic Four uniform and a brown paper
Oh
bag on
yeah,
his
yeah,
head.
yeah. Yep, I remember that. Yep.
I knew I forgot somebody. I'm like, there's another Spider-Man that was obviously there, and I'm like, I couldn't remember it. No, the other one that I don't think we saw was Ghost Spider. And I know I sound weird saying it because it's like, well, technically Gwen is. No, this one is Ghost Spider because it's
Hmm.
Ghost Rider and Spider-Man combined. Um, Curious to see that one. But to be honest with you, they could have been there, and
Yep.
we just it was mixed into the crowd because there were just
The
so many.
there's until this movie gets like released and we could watch it again and literally go frame by frame.
Like pause and pause and pause. Like seriously, until we can pause and pause and pause like consistently over and over again,
No,
we're never
no,
gonna. It's never gonna
it's
change.
insane. Like there were so many Spider-Man.
We're just gonna keep guessing and guessing all these Spider-Man until we're blue in the face. But overall, loved it. All right. Well, do you have anything else to say about this
No,
Spider
I thought it
Universe
was a great movie.
across?
It was
Not great.
the cliffhanger was just massive.
Yeah, I will say this. Out of all the movies I've ever seen, that was by far when it ended. I was like, I actually looked around. Like there in the theater I was in, you could literally hear everyone go, "Nuh-uh." Like there was a loud just consensus of like that can't be the end. And then everyone just sitting there watching and waiting. And then once the scene came up of the title screen, everyone looked on their phone, found out there was no other title screen. Everyone
That's
got up and
hilarious.
left, myself included. And it was like perfect. Because you always have like some people who leave anyway at the end of a movie, regardless of
I'm gonna
whether
be
there was a
honest. I
cutscene or
left
not.
because I already knew there was no cutscene.
And that's fair. I didn't, so I got to see the experience of seeing the title screen, and it said Miles Morales will return, which was
Yep.
kind of obvious, but whatever. Um, yeah, and also, fun fact, I'm almost positive, and I don't think I'm wrong on this. There's a Miles B. Morales, which is the Prowler, and
Oh,
he's
really?
voiced by a different
Oh,
actor.
that's cool.
I thought he was going to be
Hmm.
voiced by the same character. He is not.
Uh,
And did you know who voices Prowler?
no.
I don't think I registered it. He's going to be the
Oh,
new
really?
Blade.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I didn't register. I did not register it. Like
No,
it's
that's
the guy
cool.
who's going to be
That's a
playing
nice little
Blade.
fun fact.
There's a lot of MCU characters or
You
actors
sent
in
me
this
the
in these
screenshot
movies.
of the characters, so
And that
I
was only
believe
some of them. That wasn't
it.
even all of them. That was the big thing where that was just like some of them. But yeah, overall, I
This
thought it was
movie,
great. Great movie.
I know it was the point, but it had obviously with the canon events and whatnot, it was very Doctor Strange.
It was definitely I took it as
Yeah,
more of multiverse.
particularly the Doctor Strange what if
I
episode.
do get you.
Uh,
Oh yeah, no,
that
okay, okay,
that
yeah.
like the movie just screamed that obviously because the canon event Doctor Strange broke the canon event, so it broke his universe, and they were already touching upon it, and I liked that connection. Which, if everything's going to be talking about the multiverse, they got to connect it like that. Um,
No, I agree. No, 100% agreed. I just thought it was excellent overall. I there was very I don't think other like literally the only thing that I thought was stupid out of the entire thing, which was such a small finite amount of the film, was the fact that he had a dorm room but was grounded at home. That was it.
Man, you don't
Like
understand
that literally
them Italian and Latino families. if
I guess not. I mean, I
you're
guess
if
not.
you're
I
if
mean,
you're
I don't know.
grounded, you're
I
grounded.
guess not. Apparently. Um I just that one threw me off. If anything, that was the only thing that threw me off. But it wasn't something I registered until later, like after I'd watched the movie. Like it wasn't during the movie; it was after. Because I was like, wait a
He
minute,
might be home on school
how
vacation.
does that make
School might
sense?
have ended.
I mean, that's also true. Maybe
Yep.
that's why they were talking to the advisor for the end of the school year. I get it. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. Um, yeah, it was definitely interesting overall. Definitely
Yep.
excited for the new
Yep.
one. In fact, the voice actor of Miles Morales, the Spider-Man, he's actually going to be working out to get himself ready to put himself in the running for the potential of being Miles Morales in the future. I disagree it's going to
Yep.
happen,
I've
mostly
been
due to
hearing
his
that,
age.
and I've been seeing people say like, "Dude, you're too old." But
Yeah, and I do hate saying that,
yep.
but I mean, he could play an older version of him, but like when we do like Secret Invasion and stuff. I mean, not Secret Invasion, Secret War and stuff like that. He could play a version of Miles Morales that's older. I will not be against that, but I think if they want longevity,
Absolutely.
he's not going to be the one they go with. And nothing against him; he's done an excellent job. I just think age it wasn't his moment. Just like with Danny Glover from the MCU, being the Prowler. He's been wanting to play a Black Spider-Man forever. Got to be able to the chance to and everything. Meaning like really wanted to fight for it and everything else. Helped create the character in sort of a way. But now is too old.
Yep.
Now he can only play the uncle. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one of those things where it's a time sensitive thing. Like you can't like Tobey Maguire can be Spider-Man because he's been Spider-Man. You know what
Well,
I'm
the funny
saying?
thing
Like
is that when Toby first played Spider-Man, he was too old. So,
no, I agree. But I think they also kept him in college age and an adult
hmm
age that it worked out for those movies personally. Where these ones they're these the next series were more high school focused. I mean, this Peter Parker, I mean Tom Holland Spider Man
yep.
is still in
No,
high school.
so now because they're looking at the longevity now, it's now they gotta have the actors that will fit the age.
Although
But before they didn't really care. They were just casting actors they thought would be good for the part.
well, because they never thought it was going to be
Yeah.
anything like this. I mean, put it this way: I can guarantee you that Tobey Maguire himself, along with everyone else, nobody would have thought he would have played Spider-Man in 2021 or 2022. No, 2021, 2020,
No, it was not. No.
2019.
Yeah, it was 2022.
Somewhere
Yeah.
20. That's what I thought. Yeah, it was what. Yeah, it was 2022. Definitely was. Like nobody would have suspected that those
hmm
two actors would have played Spider-Man again,
Yeah.
and them included. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what made it so great with this MCU, where these actors who have played these characters before, like we could
Yep.
see
You
a
could.
Wesley Snipes Blade again. You know what I mean? We can see the old Fantastic Four. Like there is so many different things we can see, and it's not
No.
going to ruin the
No. As
canon at
long as they
all.
do it good.
Well, as long as they do very similar to what they did with like Doctor Strange, like they brought these characters in a way that they've never been brought in before, and do an excellent job with them. But yeah, all right. So we're gonna move on to the end of our story. I'm actually gonna start with my character spotlight first because it relates heavily to what we're talking about. So Michael, let me talk to you about a character from Earth 616. Now, whether you know this or not, Earth 616 is actually the main universe of the Marvel Universe. And there is a character known as Spider-Man who exists. I don't know if you know him. His name is Peter Parker, and he's got some villains. Okay, he's got some villains, and one of his, I guess I can't even call him most known because that's incorrect. But there's a villain that has been around for a while that doesn't have a lot of history, or not a lot of screen time, and he is known as the
The Jack.
Jackal. Now, Jackal, yes, the Jackal, who is better known as Miles Warren, um, wanted to create clones of Peter Parker, specifically the superhero Spider-Man. Now, the reason why I say it that way is because I don't think, if I remember correctly, he did not know that he was taking the DNA of Peter Parker. He was taking the DNA of Spider-Man. I know that's like, it's just very specific. The reason why I'm saying it that way is because I don't remember the Jackal ever
Yep.
knowing that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. So anyway, one of these clones is called Ben Riley. Now, Ben Riley is a genetic clone of Peter Parker, who went on to determine his own identity as the
Ooh.
Scarlet Spider. Should say. Uh-huh. Yes, we saw him in Across the Spider-Verse. Now let's continue. Now he was created by the Jackal to torment the hero and seemingly die in their first encounter. However, the clone survived and exiled himself for 5 years, only returning to New York after learning that Peter Parker's Aunt May was sick. He later made amends with Peter, and Ben fought alongside him as the Scarlet Spider. Now, for a brief time, Ben and Peter were tricked by Norman Osborn, okay, to believe that Ben was the actual Peter Parker and Peter Parker was the clone. It was a whole clone thing, man. And it was during this time where Peter Parker left New York with his then wife, Mary Jane Watson, leaving Ben to pick up the mantle of Spider Man. And it is during this subsequent confrontation with Osborn as the Green Goblin, Ben was impaled and died in Peter's arms. Also discovering that Peter was actually not the clone, it was actually Ben was the clone. Shocking. What a way to die, right? So anyway, Ben was later brought back to life by the Jackal using a new cloning method and spent several years being constantly killed and resurrected by his creator to help better, how do you want to put it? Better improve the cloning technology. So let's just bring him back, kill him, and start again.
Doomsday
The
vibe.
fun way. So, 100%. He was driven mad and later escaped and overthrew Warren and became the new Jackal. It was during this time he founded the New U Technologies, in an ill-conceived attempt to use the cloning technology for good, but was ultimately stopped by Spider-Man, seeking redemption but still mentally unstable. Ben moved to Las Vegas, where most people do, and resumed his identity as the Scarlet Spider. He then came into conflict with a fellow clone known as Kane, who was also adopted the moniker of Scarlet Spider. Ben was eventually left with a damaged soul after being killed and reborn one more time because, let's be honest, we'll have to do it again. Ben saw a chance at redemption once again and returned during the return of the spider hunting inheritors, sacrificing himself to defeat a villain. He was then resurrected with the cloning technology again, which gave him a clean slate. And Ben briefly readopted the Spider Man mantle, becoming a corporate sponsored hero for the Beyond Corporation in exchange for being reunited with his lover, Jane Godby. Janine Godby, I think is how you pronounce it. However, Ben turned against his predecessor after Beyonders manufacturers erased his memories, and later was tormented further by being mutated by the mutagenic polymer and became the Chasm. Later joined Madame Pryor, the Queen of Limbo, and the two of them decided to steal the memories of Jean Grey and Peter Parker, unleashing hell on Earth, and then, well, was later imprisoned by the Limbo Assembly in New York, and that's where he is to this day. So let's talk about his powers a little bit. So basically, he has the same powers as Spider-Man when he is the Scarlet Spider. My gosh, how long does it take to
See?
scroll
It's
down
not
to the
as easy.
powers? Please. Yeah, it is easy. Just shush. He has basically all right. So he has literally the same abilities as Peter Parker. Um, spider sense, superhuman strength, superhuman agility, speed, all that stuff. He has the spider scarlet suit. He has web shooters. He has stingers, metal darts
Ooh.
with paralyzing elements that can be used to temporarily incapacitate his foes. Which is why in like when we see him in Across the Spider-Verse, he has kind of like those big like bracelets.
Hmm.
They're actually that's where his darts are. And hold on. He has the Scarlet Spider suit, which is irritating that they made me click on that to see that. Former powers include enhanced super strength, which we already talked about. Oh, here we go. Stamina, durability, we already know that. Equilibrium, we know that. Spider sense, we know that. Wall crawling, yep. Oh, energy manipulation. Ben displayed a capability to forge solid light weapons of his own energy as a result of the psychoreactive goo.
Uh-huh.
Sure. Apparently, oh, ew, gross. Apparently, Ben was also received a few new powers when he bonded with the Carnage symbiote. Um, he had incredible strength. He had camouflage. He had matter generation and matter manipulation. Mostly due to the ones of from the symbiote. But yeah. So yeah, that was pretty much it. He's had
So fusing with
many
Carnage
renditions.
gave him the ability to
Um,
manipulate matter.
so they call it that, but it was technically the matter that he was made of. So like the symbiotes are able to create weapons and stuff from their body,
Okay.
that was what they were basically getting at. It's what it's considered that way. I know it's weird, but that's how
It
they
made it
yeah,
makes
that's
it
how they
seem like
talk
he
about
could
it.
literally just like make create things out of nothing.
Correct. Although it might look like that, it's actually from the symbiote in his
Makes
blood,
sense
if
now.
I remember correctly. So, just to give you a heads up, Ben Riley was first introduced as a spider clone in 1975. He later became the Scarlet Spider in 1994. He was Spider Man in 1996. He was the Jackal in 2016, and then came back as Chasm in 2022.
Cool.
Yeah, so overall, very happy with him. I thought he was just a joke character for a while. Also, there was a whole cloning issue in the '90s with Spider-Man that many people were not happy with. Specifically, Gwen Stacy's cloned kids. It was a whole thing where Norman Osborn had relations with Gwen Stacy. It was a whole thing. Um, it was not a story that many people were happy with. But the cloning did give us Ben Riley, who I thought is an interesting character overall. So, if that's all I got, which it is, Mike, why don't you talk about
All
your
right. My
character
character
spotlight?
spotlight relates to the is a character related to the main topic of our next podcast. It is a villain for the Flash. His name is Godspeed. You know him?
Oh, okay. Not who I
Oh, you
thought.
thought I was
No,
going to
it's
go
not
with
who I
like
thought.
Reverse Flash?
Yes, no, I did, but I'm not
uh,
mad. Continue.
Godspeed, his human name is August Hart. So, August Hart is a colleague of Barry Allen at the CCPD. His brother was murdered by a career criminal, and the killer ended up being let free due to Barry Allen's lab being destroyed by lightning. Um, August confronted. Uh, he confronted Black Hole, which is the organization that was most prominently suspected of his brother's murder. When August
Okay.
saw that, he went enraged and kind of went like a little bit crazy, trying to get revenge. His goal is to avenge his brother's death. At some point,
Okay.
August was struck by a lightning bolt that was created by a Speed Force storm. I'll be honest, I don't.
I hate when that, honestly. No, I've seen a bunch of those kinds of storms. In fact, that happened today. I almost got hit. I almost became the Flash. I was actually gonna go be named the Speedster. I was gonna call myself Speedster, mostly due to the fact that it would go with the SS. Um, but yes, I do know what those are.
I've seen you run; it won't work.
When I get hit by the Speed Force, my metabolism goes up. So I'm gonna just drop the weight. I'm gonna poop a lot, but I'm gonna drop the weight.
When he got struck by the lightning from the Speed Force storm, he gained super speed as well, and he became a speedster, taking on the alias of Godspeed. With his abilities, he goes after Black Hole to try to go after the killer of his brother. After many battles, Barry Allen decides that he is going to reveal his secret identity to August to try to calm him down and to try to bring him onto his side. It works for a little bit. August agrees with Flash. They work together. They try to work together to solve the crime and persecute his actual killer, his brother's killer.
Hmm.
Along the way, Barry and August were finding scientists who were also speedsters, completely lifeless, drained of their life force, and that was becoming part of their new investigation. Turns out that is the doing of August Hart, Godspeed. His ability, as well as the super speed and super strength and endurance and all that other speedster jazz, his unique ability is that he can drain the speed from other speedsters, and by doing so, it kills them.
Now, when he does so, does it make him stronger, or is it just
It
one of
makes
those
him
things that he
stronger. He
just
gains
does?
their speed, and it increases his speed and makes him stronger. It depending on the iteration, well, most iterations that I know him for, it like becomes kind of like a high for him. But mainly, he's doing it for power, so that way he can. Yes, just like that. Um, Barry is going around trying to figure out what's going on. Eventually, I kind of a little skipped a part about it. For the longest time, Barry did not know that August was Godspeed. Barry figured it out after they found his brother's killer, and Godspeed ignored all of the other henchmen and specifically targeted that killer and killed him. That's when Barry was like, "You're my teammate. Don't do that. We got to work together." Eventually, Godspeed and the Flash would come at odds because Godspeed was more of a justice by force, whereas Barry wanted to do it by the book and by the rules. They would team together a little bit. Godspeed, I guess, is considered more of like an anti-hero in some iterations, which, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I'm getting tired of all the anti-heroes. Either make him a villain or not at all. So they were teaming together with the Reverse Flash to fight the villain Paradox, who at the time was going to try to erase the Flash's history, thus erasing all speedsters.
Hmm.
Reverse Flash Godspeed and the Flash work together. They stop Paradox, but after they defeat Paradox, Godspeed asks Thrawn if Thawne. Thawne.
I was gonna say, I thought that I was gonna say, I was like, I don't know if I heard him correctly. I knew he
Reverse Flash.
Reverse
I need to keep
Flash.
with that. Godspeed asks Reverse Flash, because Reverse Flash is from the future, if he truly knows who killed August Hart's brother. Thawne smiles, tells him that he killed him, and then proceeds to kill Godspeed. Yep, just like that. This character is actually fairly new. I did not know that. He was actually introduced into mainstream media and comics in 2016. And he became like a pretty prominent character in, not super prominent, but he was a recurring character a lot in the Flash TV series. And
Yes, that I actually did know.
like, so he, does it actually say?
You're too close.
Sorry. So he was introduced. He was first created in 2016, and he made his first appearance in the Flash TV show in 2018. So
yeah, so we were 2 years and he was in. That's actually cool.
I like the different speedsters that they're creating. I like the whole, for the most part, Barry Allen's the first one, and they're just continuously adding more. And with
which I'm not against. But they give them each a unique
they're
ability.
each different. It's not just a complete carbon copy.
It's not just a complete carbon. Exactly. They've done enough to make them different, which I do like.
And especially like I said, with the whole the Flash movie being the Flashpoint, this creates a new setup for it. And I mean, there's a rumor going around that that there could actually, this isn't going to be the one-off Flash movie that we originally thought. There might be a second one, and if that's the case, it actually also makes a lot of sense with the fact that they're doing multiple. They're sticking with the multiple universes, different universes for DC now. Like Pattinson is going to be his own universe. We have the DCEU, which is supposedly supposed to be over, but obviously we have no idea what's truly going on with that. And then we have the new James Gunn series starting up, and there was another one. What's the other? Either way, it could lead to a bunch of different potential, you know?
No, I agree with you. Well, that was actually much better than I thought.
Yeah, this was supposed to be, you know, how the other Flashes were supposed to go, but, you know.
There you go. I agree with you. That's how it should have went.
You know, hey.
Hey, it is happening. So for the next video, our next episode, we are going to be talking about season 4 of Rebels, the series finale. We will then move on to talking about the Flash movie. Then after that, I will have to come up with something for Marvel, and as always, I will. In fact, we might be talking about Secret Invasion, aren't we?
Yeah.
We might actually be talking about Secret Invasion. So I might not have to come up with anything at all. Don't tell Mike. Mostly because we don't want him to know. He gets very territorial when I don't have to do
June
stuff.
21st.
Oh, yeah, we'll actually have... Yeah, June 21st. Okay, so never mind. We're going to be talking about Secret Invasion in the next podcast. And then, as always, we'll end the video as we always do with a character spotlight from each of us. And then we'll talk about what's going to happen in the video after.
We'll probably only be able to talk about one episode because we're going to have to record beforehand. So,
Yeah, but then after that, it's going to be
Yes,
about 2 episodes each week. I mean, not each week,
podcast.
each episode. Yep. So for now, this is going to be Scott and Mike signing out of the Black Eel podcast. We very much appreciate you guys watching for this long. Please like and subscribe below. It'd be very much appreciated. Um, you know,
Yeah.
Mike wants to feel loved. So for now, that's going to be us signing out. Have a great night, everybody.